Hello folks, so I am making this video because a friend of mine and I were chatting about how one of the beautiful things about Final Cut 10 is that there's so many ways you can organize things, but it's also kind of the bane of Final Cut 10 because there is so many ways you can organize things. And actually I shouldn't say Final Cut 10, it's not Final Cut 10 anymore, it's just Final Cut Pro. So the thought was, why don't we put together some videos of how people organize different things. And one of the things he suggested was, how do you organize something that's documentary style, something that's just talking heads and B-roll. So that's what I have sitting in front of me. This is a video that we're working on for a new, kind of a passion project thing that we're working on. So here is how I organize talking heads and B-roll. You'll have to ignore the helicopters going overhead. I live close to a Marine Corps air station. So first thing to do, let me check my notes. Yeah, so the first thing that I do is I use folders in my events to knock down on the clutter. So you can see right now I have put things into an interview bin. I put keywords into an interview bin or folder, and then I've put B-roll, the keywords I've used for B-roll, into a B-roll folder. And the reason that I do this is without the folders, my keyword list gets really long, and so I have to scroll up and down through it. So by putting stuff in folders, it just makes it much easier and much more manageable. I do have one keyword sitting out here that's just for music. So now that we've got that down, let me zoom back out. Let's go back to my notes. So before you start, it's always best to have, obviously, a keyword strategy. And the interesting thing about keywords is you can use a ton of keywords or you can use a few keywords, but trying to find the sweet spot on keywords always seems to be difficult for me. So I try to use not too many, that's not the really right way to say it, but I try not to use too many keywords because then it just becomes overwhelming. A couple of keywords that I always use are person, so the person that's on camera, the place that it was shot at, and sometimes I'll use the time when it was shot, like the date that it was shot, because those are just kind of basics that help me find stuff. Then let me check my notes again. What do I have? Yeah, so on my interviews, I tend to keyword them by question. So if I ask the question, if I'm doing an interview with somebody that makes hats and I ask the question, tell me how you got started making hats, that will be a keyword collection. And especially if I'm going to ask multiple people that question, then they'll all wind up in that keyword collection. Let's look at my keywords from over here. I also always use this keyword, loc. And what that is a locator, because, you know, everybody that we interview, we're going to ask them to give us their first name, last name, spell them both.
My name is Andy Lloyd, and I am the General Operating Manager here at Three Frogs Beer Company.
And he didn't spell them, that one. I think I have another clip where he spelled it that I didn't keyword. Let me see if I got the right one over here.
I am Jaron Zepperjohn, and I am the head doer of things here at Three.
Oh, actually, I know why I have that in there. I'll show you in a minute. Here's one where he spells it.
Well, Jaron, Jerren, Zepperjohn, Zefferjahn.
I had this other one, and I have two of them for everybody because we did kind of a hero shot thing here for intros. So like, here we go. You'll see what I mean here.
My name is Andy Lloyd, and I am the General Operating Manager here at Three Frogs Beer Company.
So we not only had them say and spell, we also had them just say that line.
My name is Andy Lloyd, and I am the General Operating Manager here at Three Frogs Beer Company.
Because we knew we were going to use that for that hero shot intro. So I always have a loc for my locators. And then, again, this is kind of based around the questions that I asked. And And these are keyword ranges out of the full interview. So I ask the question, then create those keywords. The other thing that I will do is if I get to a point where they say something that I really like and I know I'm going to use, I'll use locators. So let's like go to Jaren's interview here. I have a few locators on it. If we go into list mode, and I'll give you a tip on list mode here. Unfortunately, list mode always starts with everything collapsed, but if you select all of them and then hold down the Option and right arrow key, it will open things up. And so now you can see, like, there's a couple of keywords that I put in here. You know, he said something about wheat beers there. He made some comment about we don't have free beer, and so I just put a locator on it. So that's the second level of my kind of not so much keywording strategy but finding strategy, because I can always search for these later. So I will use keyword ranges based on questions, and then I will use markers or locators for little sound bites that I really like. Some people use favorites for that, and I've actually done that before as well. I've used favorite ranges for it. So that kind of takes care of interviews. And then again, all of those interview keywords go into the interviews folder. Going back to, did I use any of our, so I used name keywords, which I talked about earlier. So everything has everybody, you know, Andy, all of Andy's stuff are in Andy's name. All of Jaren's stuff is in Jaren's name, Julie's, you know, like that. So use names. Didn't so much use places here because we shot it all in one location, but I may have used places in the B-roll. So let's open up B-roll. So again, my keyword strategy here was basically I had a lot of B-roll shots of them brewing. So these are all of those shots of them just working on brewing. I had beer beauty shots, hence the beer beauty. So these are all just, here, let's zoom out a little bit because these were really cool shots. So these are just, you know, quick shots of beer brewing. These were also, you can see, were shot at 60 frame because the audio doesn't go all the way through. This was actually the brewer's idea, to pour a little bit of beer into the top to get the bubbles fizzing up, and it just looked really cool. Yeah, that was a great idea. This one was great here. It just kind of came dropping down the side as we hit it with a backlight. Yeah, okay, pretty stuff. So we used beer beauty for all the beauty shots of the beer. What else did we use here? The brewing stuff, building exteriors. So anything that we shot that was a building exteriors in there. They did have like these frogs. This stuff didn't wind up in the final edit, but they had these frogs. So anything that had the frogs was a keyword collection. Here's all of those hero shots, you know, just slow motion of guys, you know, smiling, holding up beers, things like that. Images, so any of the images that I got from them went into an images. This was the other one that was a location. They referenced another brewer that helped them out called Pacific Islander Brewing. So that's PIB, and this was just a couple of quick exteriors we shot over at PIB. And then I had one for signage. This was just all of the different signage that was kind of around the place. So what else? Let me check my notes and make sure I covered everything. Keyword by question, markers to denote sound bites. Yeah, the list view, the option right thing for list view. Yeah, just again, you can select them all with Command A, and then Option right arrow opens it up, and you can get to all of your keyword ranges and any markers that, or any locators that you've used. Yeah, that's about it. That's how I manage and organize talking head and B-roll projects. Now, my question to you is, because I'm going to post this on the San Diego Final Cut Pro user group, how do you organize talking head and B-roll? Or if there's another type of project that you do, you know, television spots, narrative film stuff, how do you manage your your projects. And if you make a video about it, that would be swell, and post it to the San Diego Facebook, San Diego Final Cut users Facebook group. I'll link it in the bottom or down in the details here. So yeah, upload your video. I want to let's make a collection of how people organize things, because in Final Cut there is just so many ways to organize.